We're joined now with my two guests, James Baker, Director, Law Enforcement Operations and Support, and Hassan Aden, Director of Research and Programs. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now this year, the President put out a task force report on community policing called 21st Century Policing. Now give us a summary of those recommendations. Hassan, we'll start with you.
Sure. The President assembled a group of task force members from various disciplines. Some were community activists, some were sort of iconic chiefs in the United States, and there were some academics on the panel. And what they did was they traveled around various cities throughout the country and had people that were invited, subject matter experts that were invited to speak about several topics. And those topics ranged from policy, accountability, transparency, officer wellness, science or technology, social media, all about basically establishing or reestablishing public trust in many of our communities that were impacted by events that occurred that sort of eroded that trust in the police. So the report came out and there were 59 recommendations. 5 additional were for federal law enforcement. And so the report is out now, and we're working on implementation strategies and helping people to sort of self-assess and decide where they want to dive into or what their needs are in their particular communities. With over 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States, they do have to have a self-assessment to make sure that they're putting their energy in the right places.
All right, Jim, it seems that the report especially focuses on training. What aspects of training specifically?
Well, first of all, the report refers to police departments operating from a warrior standpoint versus a guardian standpoint.
And are we segueing more to a guardian standpoint?
Well, I think the challenge for law enforcement is that the challenges law enforcement face require them to be able to have an overarching guardian point of view in dealing with the community. But there are times you have to have a warrior mentality. I mean, we see it in the country. Police officers are being harmed. There's acts of violence that are extreme. And so there's a fine balance between guardian and warrior. But the report clearly talks about moving away from policing communities hard and developing relationships in communities that are beyond the surface relationships that we've seen in the past. Talking about really developing deep relationships where you police with the community, not against the community.
All valid ideas, all great ideas, but Hassan, are you seeing this being implemented at all?
So we have a very deliberate strategy at this point in reaching out to state associations, and in many cases they're reaching out to the IACP to do the training, to come in and actually break the report down and provide them with strategies for implementation. Again, it starts with self-assessment. So we're not only targeting chiefs and law enforcement executives, but we also have met with large groups of city managers and county managers, which are the hiring authorities. So they have skin in the game also, and it's going to take time,
of course,
and it's going to take really just sort of pulling on various threads and explaining what this report is and the benefits of having essentially this roadmap to gaining better community relations.
And Jim, speaking to that, explaining this report to attendees, what message do you want them to get from the report?
The message is exactly what Hassan said. There needs to be a self-assessment where you stand. There needs to be another shift in thinking too, which is, this is not about crime stats. This is not about how many people you arrest. This is about working with your community to provide public safety, raising quality of life, because in many communities across the country, quality of life relates right back to the ability for that community to have an economic engine in their community. No one wants to come into a community to start a business if in fact it isn't safe. And it isn't always about looking at crime stats. It's about public safety and providing a service to the community in cooperation with the community where people feel like they're safe, they have trust in government. Police are the highest visibility of government, and the report really speaks to that. So our message when we go out is, step back for a minute, take a look at the report, use it as a guide, assess yourself against it, and make sure your leadership in your organization understands the
Very good. James Baker, Hassan Aden, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the convention.